Okay, this is the East Blue Arc manga review. No idea why I'm doing jazz hands, but I am. So I never read One Piece. I know a lot about One Piece because, well, I work with a lot of people that are obsessed with One Piece, and then they tell me it is peak of anime. So I'm like, if it's peak, I must know what this peak is. Because to me, I'm thinking like peak is like Vinland Saga and like Berserk and other things. Anyways, so that's the origin story of why I decided to try One Piece. So I went in there to read the East Blue Arc, and it's like 12 volumes. I just finished it. I wanted to just experience what is so good about this series. And now I actually didn't mind it. I think I gave this arc like a 3.75. Just because usually the first arcs for any show, well, any anime is usually kind of weak, personally. So in general, I don't really have high expectations. I usually give every anime usually the first two arcs, and the first two arcs are kind of mid. Then that's about it. With this, it does the typical thing where you meet the main character, who is Luffy. I'm not even going to explain Luffy or hardly any of this because I assume you guys are going to know like who I'm talking about. The One Piece community is just like united. It's kind of like the Dragon Ball community or like the Naruto community or just any anime community. So that's the other thing. So you meet Luffy, and Luffy is the typical main character for any shonen anime. Like, I'm a pretty big fan of anime in general. So when I met Luffy, and he's just a guy that wants to be the king of pirates, and everyone doubts him, and I'm just like, here we go. I know where this is heading to, and he's an idiot. He likes to fight, and he likes to eat food. So I'm like, all right, here we go. I didn't expect too much out of it. You know, everyone says that Luffy's like the best main character. And so I'm like, all right, so I have a lot of manga to see how good he actually is. Because, like, personally, my favorite main character currently in anime/manga is Thorfinn. So, just like, so you meet Luffy at the beginning. Luffy's just a kid, and he gets a hat, and he talks about how he wants to be king of the pirates, and he can't swim anyways. And he eats this thing called Devil's Fruit. Now, Devil Fruits gives you a power, like a boost or whatever. But what it also does is you can't be able to swim. You can't be able to swim, which is really interesting concept, I thought. Because I was like, so he wants to be a pirate, but like, what if he's in the middle of the sea and he just sinks? And then I learned later on in the East Blue Arc about the Devil's Fruit and like the problem with it. So I'm like, wow, interesting. So there's like aspects in this book where, well, this arc where I'm like, all right, there's, like I said, there's parts of this arc where I really am enjoying it. And I'm not sitting there trying to hate on One Piece. I'm just being open because it's like, it's not my first manga I've ever read or anime or anything. Like, I have a lot of, you know, experience, I guess, experience if you want to call it that, of reading or watching anime or manga. So a lot of the stuff that I just see it for everything else. So I kind of just go in open-minded, and I just want to see the difference what they do. Now, One Piece is one of the big three, so I had to get into it because I read Naruto and I watched all Bleach. So I was like, I got to see what this is all about anyway, as well. So it was a time skip. Luffy's like 18, I believe, when Luffy first goes out to sea. He's like 18, and he has like the little rowboat. That's how he starts out being, you know, a pirate. And to me, so in the manga, his name was Zolo, but in the anime, his name is Zoro. So I'm just going to call him Zoro because I feel like most of the people who would watch this video watch the anime more than reading the manga. If not, I'm sorry. But he meets Zoro, who is a bounty hunter. And Zoro is like one of the deadliest bounty hunters in all of this series. Now, Zoro is actually one of my favorites, I think, out of the Straw Hat crew. I think Zoro is probably my favorite. The rest of them were fine in their own ways, but I think Zoro is just my favorite in general. No idea why. I just kind of like how he has 3 swords and one of them's in his mouth. And every time I watch him fight, I'm like, how are we going to use this 3rd sword? And he calls it the 3-sword technique. So I'm like, I need to learn his 3-sword technique. I just want to see it. When I see all this, it's just interesting to watch him fight. And I swear, every time Zoro was about to fight in any of these arcs, well, this whole arc of the East Blue, every time they were fighting, Zoro was always hurt, so you don't actually get to see him at his like full strength. I swear, I'm just saying, I feel like they are shafting my homeboy. It's kind of like Vegeta in Dragon Ball. I swear, because Vegeta gets shafted every freaking arc. You meet Zoro, which is really fun. And then, of course, you meet Nami, Sanji, and Usopp. Those are the only ones I've met so far in the East Blue arc. And Nami's actually a pretty cool character. I kind of like Nami's relationship with Luffy. And I think it's a really cool dynamic because, like I said, Luffy's just an idiot, but Luffy's very caring for everyone. And he's willing to help and protect everyone that is on his crew. And Nami, when you meet her, she actually doesn't give two rats about any of these guys. He just wants to steal their money, which she does, just helping her out anyways. So it's a really interesting dynamic with it all. And with the East Blue arc, you kind of just slowly learn these characters. And I kind of enjoy that. It's not like, I don't know, he doesn't really like drop you off somewhere and you just are like, what's going on? You kind of just, you're following through with Luffy and you're learning already a couple islands. Like, so you meet Nami, but then you meet like Usopp, who personally, I don't like Usopp at all. Sorry. Just saying. Anyways, because he just annoys me to the point where it's like, you're hanging out with all these guys that are willing to like die. And Usopp's just like, yeah, I'm going to just fake my death. Or just, he's just a liar and stuff. And he keeps claiming he's the captain. I'm like, are you though? Like, Luffy literally is the captain of the ship. And you're just like saying you're the captain. I don't know. It's just, I'm like, what is your reasoning to be with the crew? If you guys, agree or disagree, that's fine. It's just, this is how I'm viewing it right now. But so Usopp is definitely my least favorite. And then you meet Sanji, which is, if I can remember, is the last character you meet currently. Because I think on the Straw Hat crew, I think there's like 3 or 4 more characters you meet. But right now you meet Sanji, and he's the cook. Because Luffy says you need a cook. Which, I agree, you need a cook for your ship. Meeting Sanji is really cool. Like, the way that they meet Sanji is a very interesting way. Because they meet him on a boat in the middle of the ocean. Because it's just a restaurant. And they do like a whole like backstory of Sanji, of why he's like still working at this restaurant and stuff. Granted, Oda does a backstory for each one of these characters early on, so you kind of don't have to really like go back into it. But with Sanji, a lot of the other stuff kind of like makes sense with him. So that's kind of more stuff you meet with Zoro too, because you meet the greatest swordsman. That's what Zoro's trying to do, is become the greatest swordsman. And he meets one who beats Zoro with like a dagger like this. Like, he beats Zoro with like this. It was insane. And he just whoops the crap out of Zoro, because in my head, when I saw Zoro fight, I'm like, damn, this guy's kind of cool. But then he fights this guy and I'm like, whoa. And then like I said, it's cool. I like I said, I gave it like a 3.75 instead or something. It's a fun series, but like some of the fights are pretty good. And then you get to the part where Nami steals money from all these guys, from her crew, steals money, steals their ship, and goes to the island that she grew up on to meet the fish people. Now, the fishmen, I think they're called. Yeah, fishmen. And you get to the part where Nami like meets this guy with a shark guy. I'm sorry for the names. Sometimes when I'm reading the manga, I kind of blur out names, no idea why. But yeah, the fishmen you meet. And you actually learn Nami's whole backstory of why she's actually stealing from people. And it's kind of sad. Because she has to get like 100 million berries to buy the island and all of her people's freedom. In exchange, she's a navigator to draw all the maps for the fishmen. And the whole time you're just like reading this and you're like, damn, this is like sad. And you're like, oh, okay, so it makes sense why Nami is the way that she is. So I like that aspect. And I will say there was a part where Nami's like crying and she's like, Luffy, help me. And Luffy like grabs his hand, puts it on top of her head. I'm like, damn, that goes kind of hard. And that was pretty tough. I'm not gonna lie, that was really cool. And Luffy's like, I'm gonna help you. Then Luffy and the Straw Hat gang fights the Fishman crew. And it was fine. I think the fight was really good until Luffy fought the main bad guy. And it was fine But at the same time, it was kind of childish because there was parts where I'm like reading this, I'm like, oh, this is good, this is good. But then you have like the guys in the background making comments, making it like a joke, and it would take me out of it to like where I'm like, all right, so I guess should I not take this serious? Luffy's like in bit and stuff because they're talking about how this guy could like rip Luffy in half and stuff. I'm like, so should I take this seriously? But then Sanji and like Zoro and Usopp and like Nami are like making jokes about it. So I'm like, do I not take this seriously or not? And that was like my biggest thing that kind of took me out of it. Because early on when they were doing fights, nobody was like making jokes. So I was like, oh, cool, cool. I'm like, all right, it's getting serious. So I thought when it was going to get serious with fights, there wouldn't be jokes, but then it became jokes. And I'm like, what is going on here? I did enjoy the East Blue arc. 3.75 is fine. I bought the box set so I get to read the next arc. No idea when. I don't want to like overwhelm myself reading all these arcs in a row. I would like to go so I just finished like the Golden Age arc, so I'm gonna do Golden Age, and then I just finished this arc. I'd like to do the Conviction arc of Berserk because I'm really into Berserk right now, or I might do Vagabond, so probably Vagabond. But it's just, yeah, I did enjoy it. I'm actually looking forward to reading the next arc, and I can see why these people do like these characters. So I really can, and I'm not gonna sit there and say I'm not gonna read anymore. But it's not gonna be like this. I have to read this now. No, I'm not gonna do that. It's a gradual thing for me. I don't like to overwhelm myself in general when it comes to reading a certain series because then I just get burnt out and I just don't want to keep doing that. So, because I've done that in the past, I don't want to do that again. But yeah, I'm looking forward to actually seeing what happens. I want to see what the hype is all about this series, and I had no other choice besides just keep reading it or watch the show. But I want to read it. I like reading more than like watching anime. I'll watch the fights on YouTube if I have to. If you guys made it to the end of the video, thank you. I do appreciate it. And, comment down below if you think my opinion is terrible of what I think about One Piece so far or not. That's cool. I'm all here for it. But make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, and stay safe, stay hungry, and tell someone you love them. I'll see you guys in the next video.